and welcome to the first episode of All Things Dogs with Yuri. Maybe I'll find a better name, but for now, since it's All Things Dogs, I'll keep it. Later on, maybe we can add cats or snakes or whatever you guys want to do. But for now, I'll start off with ducks. I'll start off by telling you guys about my day or my week, and then we can just talk about interesting dog facts and stuff like that. I've had a pretty rough week, and it's getting a little bit better. I was diagnosed with COVID a few days ago, so I've been not feeling great. And I have this little machine that keeps track of my vitals, I think, as a part of a trial right now. So then they can monitor if I'm getting worse and things like that. It's been kind of hard because I keep looking at screens and getting dizzy and nauseous. It's weird, but I finally gathered up the strength and felt good enough to get on here and get to recording. So here I am with our first lovely episode of this. So first, I'd like to talk about a study that I've been a little bit familiar with for a few years, but I just came back across it this year because I was doing some research for one of my classes, and I thought it was pretty interesting. Have you guys ever wondered how dogs got domesticated? Or have you been curious to see what traits came with dog domestication? There was a study that started in Russia that was trying to look at what they called domestication syndrome, which were basically certain traits that came up as animals have been domesticated and become more tame and more socially active with humans. What they did in this study is that they took silver foxes from a fur farm. So basically these foxes were meant to be used for their fur, and so they selected for the most tame of the foxes and bred them. And they also had another experiment going on the other end of this, and they were breeding them for the most aggressive ones. So they took the main focus was the more tame ones. So they took the top 10% of the tame foxes and they bred those, and then they chose them to have offspring, and then the offspring would be tamer and more social with humans. Eventually, after a few generations, they saw that there had been changes, like they started wagging their tails and their ears started getting floppy, and basically they just started becoming more like the younger version of the species, like puppies almost. So foxes started becoming more dog-like. Floppy ears, wagging their tails when they were around people. And different. It was found that there were many genes that were varying between the foxes that were tame and the foxes that weren't. Well, the foxes that were domesticated. And so this, the domestication kind of brought forth changes in genes that had to do with like aggressive behavior, like their serotonin levels, which it made like for domestication made for happier animals overall. The writer of this paper that I'm using as a resource, he did a talk for us a couple years back. I think maybe the writer of the paper I'm using as a resource, he's a professor, and his name is Lee Dugatkin. He did a talk in Indianapolis a little while ago, and I remember him saying that they were really good pets to have, but they do like pee on people when they're excited, and it's not like common for people to have foxes as pets. But I also remember him saying that at one point, the lead investigator, her name is Ludmila Trutt, and she was staying for some time at the place where they were keeping the foxes, and I remember him saying that it was shown that the foxes were even protective over Ludmila. I think at one point there was a new guard that approached Ludmila, and one of the foxes displayed aggressive behavior, or like got protective over her, may have growled or something of the sort. And then once it was assured that he wasn't a threat to Ludmila, then it backed down, basically. I just think it's very interesting to think about the fact that the animals, the pets that we consider family now, have once been wild animals, or their ancestors have been. Like, who would have thought that the little cat that like flinches at anything she sees or hears, who would have thought that used to be a wild, scary animal? Or like the dog that just loves to play, wouldn't hurt a fly, that used to be big scary wolf. Comment down below what kind of animals you think should be domesticated, or maybe would make good pets, or what animals would you like to see domesticated, maybe as part of this experiment or building onto this experiment. This is only the first episode of more to come. I would like to continue this as much as I can and as much as time will allow. I would definitely love to make this a very long-term thing, and maybe this will help some of you. During these difficult times, I know a lot of us are having to stay home and choose to stay home over going anywhere. And it's a great opportunity for people to share content and share their ideas online, because a lot of people are at home just trying to find some entertainment.